Hey everyone, Jim York here. Today we're talking about fear. Now, fear is something that a lot of people are reluctant to admit to having, but just between you and me, we know that everyone is afraid of something sometimes, right? And this is perfectly natural. Every animal is afraid of things that are maybe a threat to their safety or well-being, and we're no different. But if fear gets too big of a grip on us, then it can be debilitating and prevent us from living our life to the fullest. So today I wanted to give you 5 quick tips to keep fear from ruling your life. The first tip is to reality test your fears. So fears can be a healthy, natural response to an actual threat, but they can also come from irrational beliefs about yourself or other people or your environment. And our minds tend to fixate on the worst possible scenarios a lot of the time. They call that catastrophizing. So if you're worried about something, ask yourself, is it realistic that this thing I'm worried about could happen? Or is the real range of outcomes a little narrower? Okay? This way you can narrow down the universe of things that you're worried about happening. So another example of these irrational beliefs are ones maybe about yourself. Maybe you feel inadequate sometimes, or you're worried that you might be exposed for not knowing what you're doing, say at work, which there's a name for that also, by the way. It's called the Imposter Syndrome. So if you're having some kind of beliefs like that about your inadequacy, then the way to address that, to reality test that fear, would be to explore, write down on a piece of paper the ways in which you are perfectly adequate and competent and good at what you do in the area of life that you're concerned about and in other areas of your life, and really focus, accentuate the strengths and positives that you have that will help to act as sort of an antidote to that fear of inadequacy. Tip 2 is somewhat related to the first one, which is to weigh the pros and cons. Again, when we tend to catastrophize, we tend to fixate on negative outcomes. We're wired this way as humans because if we look for potential negative outcomes in our future, then it helps us to plan around them and avoid them, and that helps our survival. Or at least that's the way our reptilian brain thinks about it. The problem is that if we spend all of our time thinking about possible pitfalls, then what the research shows is that we tend to be more anxious, and that can impact our well-being. So when you're facing, say, a crossroads, or you're facing a decision, and your mind is going to the negative outcomes, maybe on both sides that you're afraid of, really make a list of, it could be as simple as making a list of pros and cons, making sure to highlight that there are positive aspects of this decision or this situation that you're facing, and not only negative ones. And that'll help give you a more balanced perspective on the matter and maybe help you make a wiser decision to boot. Number 3 is really important, and I think it's often overlooked. It's to create a social support system. I think in our culture here in the US, certainly we tend to celebrate individualism, and this kind of toughness that I can go it alone and I don't need anyone. But the reality is we do need others. We're social creatures, we're social beings. Having connection routinely in our life is very healthy for us, and especially if we're feeling afraid and uncertain about what lies ahead. So see if you can cultivate more cheerleaders, if you will, in your life. These are people that you can bounce your fears off of, that you can process your worries with, that won't judge you for them, but will listen to you, and that might offer another perspective on your situation, which would be helpful in reality testing too, by the way. And furthermore, just having a sense that you're not in this struggle alone, that you're walking beside people. They might be on their own path, but you have a tribe. Now, if you don't have these people in your life right now, that's okay. You can go and look for support groups or social groups or networking groups. There are people all over who are looking to connect with like-minded other people. So avail yourself of those opportunities and connect with as many people as you can, and it'll go a long way toward depowering your fear and also making you more healthy as a social creature to boot. Number 4 is to build up your tolerance to fear. Let's say that you are afraid of public speaking. So first, what you'd want to do is the lowest possible exposure. Maybe just imagining yourself being in front of people and giving a talk, right? And you might feel anxious. And so just sit with that anxiety and maybe practice some diaphragmatic breathing, which check out one of my other videos and I'll tell you how to do that. Some kind of meditation, some kind of relaxation as you sit with the anxiety, and keep at it, keep practicing. And over time, you'll be able to imagine yourself doing the public speaking and you won't feel anxious. Then step it up a little bit. Maybe the next step is to attend a talk where you're watching someone else speak and face that feared stimulus. And gradually work your way up. Maybe the next step after that is to raise your hand and ask a question at someone else's talk. And now you're talking in front of the audience as an audience member, etc. You see what I'm saying? So gradually up the ante and build up your tolerance. You should be able to face your feared situation with a lot more ease. Finally, tip 5 is to envision success. Now you can do this separately or in connection with the tip that I just gave you about building your tolerance to fear in that initial visualization exercise. Envisioning success is about picturing yourself in the feared situation, not just in it, but mastering it. This is something that pro athletes use all the time to great success. Like for instance, pro basketball players will imagine themselves shooting free throws over and over again in their mind, perfectly, perfect form, sinking every one of them. And when they go out on the court, their free throw percentage actually increases significantly after doing that. They've done studies on this. So, your mind doesn't know that you're just imagining it. It has a hard time telling the difference between fantasy and reality. So the practice that you're doing in your mind, visualizing yourself in your feared situation and nailing it, hitting it out of the park, as far as your brain is concerned, that's proof that you can do it. And the next time you face that situation, you'll probably feel more capable and confident. So those are the tips that I have for you today. And remember, as with all personal development work, go easy on yourself. You've probably been afraid of whatever you're afraid of for some time, and it's probably been compounding on itself. And so it's probably not going to go away overnight either. But start implementing these tips and just keep at it, be consistent, and you should see some improvement. With that, please, if you found value in this video, please head down below and click like and share it with anyone who you think might benefit. And also feel free to visit my website at jimyort.com and check out some free guided mindfulness meditations that you can use to soothe yourself when you're feeling afraid and really come into a more grounded relationship with things that scare you so that you can better reality test your fears. Mindfulness meditation is great for that. On my website, I've got several free ones that you can give a try to right now. So that's what I've got for you today, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.